everyone, it's Julia. I'm back with another sweatshirt design for my upcoming spring and summer craft show season. This is the color, I believe it's called Lilac. This is a comfort colored sweatshirt, and I did a sweatshirt jacket out of this one, and I thought I would just kind of explain a little bit and then actually take you through the steps and take you through the process. There's quite a bit of more deconstruction in a jacket. I actually cut the neckband off, I cut the cuffs off, I cut the bottom band off, and then of course I cut up the center. I don't throw any of the pieces away, and I'll kind of go through that with you. Part of the neckband is the tab that you see in the front. The cuffs I use for different scarves, and the bottom band is actually part of the pocket. The biggest thing I kind of want to touch on in this particular style is I put in side pockets, and I just want to kind of go over with you how you can put a side pocket in a sweatshirt. It doesn't have to be a sweatshirt jacket. If you have a favorite sweatshirt but you really want a pocket in it, stay tuned, because this is just an easy way to add a pocket to your existing sweatshirt. I do use, like I said, part of the band for this sweatshirt for the pocket. If you don't want to cut the band off your sweatshirt or cuff the cuffs off your sweatshirt for that little piece of fabric that you need, just make sure you get something that's super close to the color of the sweatshirt, and you could probably get by without using any of the sweatshirt fabric for this pocket. Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? I serged and edge finished the lapel. The lapel has been turned back and tacked, sewn down in place. I also edge finish the sleeve end edge. This is a 3/4 length sleeve. I do use a little bit of the fabric for the closure. Let me zoom in on that. If you can see that a little bit better. It has one little applique with a button on this particular side, and then this is a tab underneath this applique and one functional button. I actually sewed 2 buttons on here, but one that actually buttons. And that's kind of it. It's a real simple design. What I really love about this is it's all the same color. I don't add any, funky whatever applique to it, or you can easily just wear any color t-shirt or tank top underneath it for summer. It's really slick. I'll show you what the inside kind of looks like and show you what that pocket looks like on the inside. Let me zoom back out again. This is what the pocket looks like on the inside. Very neat. And it just kind of, it is sewn and tacked down, but it's just hanging on the front side of that sweatshirt. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to set up in my sewing machine and just kind of get ready for the process and kind of go through step by step with you. I'm starting with the deconstruction on my sweatshirt first. I'm going to cut the band off, and how I do this is I cut right this side seam here first, and I go up. And then notice how there's like a rib here. There's a stitching line, a kind of a serge edge on the inside, and then another stitch line. I'm going to cut just along that stitch line, and I'm not cutting through it. And this is going to be the bottom of my sweatshirt. This has a real nice, just finished hem on it. And I'm just going to leave it as it is. It won't unravel. And I'm just going to cut a couple more inches here and then kind of show it to you up close of what the bottom is going to look like when it's all done. And I'm going to finish cutting the rest of this. The band is cut off, and I'm going to just put this aside because I will be using some of this fabric for the pocket. Onto the sleeve bottom, I am going to cut the cuff off, but also a little bit of this fabric because I want this. I love the inside of this. It's just a real fun look, especially when you put it on an applique, and that's what is going to be the button applique. And so I'm going to cut approximately 2 inches beyond the cuff here, and I'm just going to measure this up and just draw a line and go ahead and cut that. Now this sleeve bottom is going to be a little bit bigger than I want it to be, and I am going to grab my pins here. I am going to take just a little tuck fold to the back and put a little pin. When I edge finish this, I'll just include that tuck. When it's folded up, then that tuck is going to look like this. I'll use this to measure the other side so it's exact. Just by laying that out, flipping it over, and cutting this one off. Now for the neckline. Every sweatshirt's a little bit different. This one has like an enclosed back on the inside of the collar. I'm going to cut right above that. And similar to the waistband, this has the 2 stitching lines. I'm going to be cutting above that stitching line. The neckband is cut off. I'm going to put this aside too. I use this for the tab, so that goes and gets placed aside. The next step on this is to cut down the center front, and I am going to be going to my mat on the floor. I've got it all laid down nice and flat on my mat, and then it's basically just trying to find the center of this as best you can. I make a little mark right underneath the armpit. This is a 12-inch or 24-inch ruler, so I'm marking it right at the 12-inch here, and then making sure that this is even, and I'm again marking it at the 12-inch, and I'm going to go down below at the very waistband and do the same thing, marking it at the 12-inch. And then it's just a matter of taking my ruler and lining all that up. I'm using a little chalk marker. And then it's cutting. I don't know if you can see that white mark or not, but it's there, I can see it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this still freaks me out, and I've probably done a couple hundred of these, but you just basically just go ahead and start cutting. This will be turned back and sewn, just to kind of give you an idea of what that's going to look like. And then the closure is going to go right here. The last thing to do on this deconstruction part is cutting up a little bit on the side seam to get that pocket in. And I'll show you that step next. This is the inside of the sweatshirt, and this is the side seam. I will need to open the side seam up approximately 9 inches to get my pocket in, but I'd like to give it a little bit of wiggle room, and so I actually will take it up about 11 inches. I'm starting about 1.5 inches or so from the bottom edge, and I just go ahead and I just get this taken care of. I take my little seam ripper and get rid of that serged part on the top first. And then just keep working at it. I have the side seam opened up now on both sides, and now onto the pocket. I love using something that I have on hand that just kind of complements or looks nice with the sweatshirt. It's a great way just to use up scraps. But solids work just as well. I mean, even if you have a piece of muslin or just a nice weight, cotton weight for a pocket lining. You're gonna need 4 pieces, about 11 inches by 6 inches. And then you're gonna need part of the waistband. For the pattern itself, I have a side pocket that I got from a Simplicity pattern. To be honest, I just didn't have a pattern at all in my stash with this kind of a side pocket. And so I went to the thrift store. My thrift store sells their patterns for 25 cents each. And I just found a random pattern that had a side pocket in it. But you can probably figure out how to draw this if you don't have this pattern. The side seam measures about 7.5 inches, and it is about 7.5 inches across. So if you need to draw one out or something, you can certainly do that. Or go to your local thrift store and you might get lucky like I did for 25 cents. What you want to do with each of these 4 pieces is to sew a part of the band on it, and that's going to go right on the side seam. And so it's going to be perfectly the same color and the same fabric as your sweatshirt. You need only half of this band, and so I just cut right up on this folded edge here. Measure it up and cut one to fit. I have 2 of them here, and then I'm going to need 2 more for the 4 pieces. What I'm going to want to do next is to sew this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Cut my other piece, and I'll come back when these are sewn. I have all 4 of my pocket pieces sewn on now, the band sewn on to the piece. I'm going to be ironing these now so that the seam goes towards the pocket or towards the print side. Just going to spray this a little and get the seam set. And then go ahead and iron so that the seam is going towards the pocket part or the print part. I'm going to go ahead and do this on all 4 of these. To my sweatshirt here, I have it right sides up, and this is that seam that the side seam that I have opened up. Taking my pockets, I'm going to be laying them so that the right side is facing the right side of my sweatshirt. I want the bottom of this as close to, let me zoom out here. I want the bottom of my pocket to be as close to the bottom of the sweatshirt without it hanging down. I'm just going to scoot that down. It'll be about 1/2 inch above my hem or my bottom of my sweatshirt. And I'm going to just line this up with the side seam and pin it in place. Now, to do the other side of the pocket, just basically want it to line up with this one, so that this end is the bottom of the pocket is lined up and the top of the pocket is lined up. And I'm just also gonna pin in place right on that side seam. This is kind of why I like to open up a little bit more of the side seam than is necessary. So I have a little bit of room to work, and it's just easier. Stick in one more pin up on top here. Now it's back to my sewing machine. I'm going to be taking just a straight stitch and going just 1/4 of an inch from the top of this pocket to the bottom of this pocket on both sides of the pocket. My pocket is sewn on, and now I'm taking it to the inside of my sweatshirt. Kind of just evening it out and laying it down. I'm going to be taking a stitch all the way from this opening on my side seam, starting way up here and going all the way down, lining up my side seams here. All the seams are going to be going towards the pocket, so I am going to be stitching all the way down on my side seams, stopping, and then stitching all the way around my pocket. Coming up along the bottom of my pocket, again lining up everything and making sure that all the side seams are going towards the pocket. And I'm going to stop right here and then go all the way down and just secure my side seam. I'm going to be pinning this first, and then I'm going to be taking it over to my sewing machine. Is sewing in now, and the side seam is all complete. I hope this picks it up, but I kind of want to let you see what it kind of looks like. It's such a neat finish. Because that we're using the band, it just looks like part of the sweatshirt, and it just finishes it off so nice. Because this is just hanging kind of loose inside, I don't want that, and so I'm going to be sewing this in place. Right now I don't have thread that matches this, so I'm going to be using clear thread in my bobbin. I'm going to be just lining this up, smoothing this out, pinning, and then with the clear thread in my bobbin, I'm going to sew this little curved edge here. That'll keep the pocket towards the front of my sweatshirt and in place. And it's very, I mean, you're going to see the stitches somewhat on the front side, but very, very faintly. My pocket is all sewn into place now. I wanted to mention that I sewed right along the seam, the original pocket seam, all the way around the right side of the sweatshirt. You really don't see it. It kind of blends in. I really love the opening of the pocket. It's quite hidden and just makes for a real nice look. On to edge finishing. I'm heading to my serger, and I'm going to serge from the wrong side because this is flapped over. There really is a difference between if you look at a serging stitch, there is a right side and a wrong side to it. And because this is flipped over and the lapel is turned back, I want the right side of the serging stitch to be on most of this. So I am going to serge from the wrong side up on both fronts. And then also I'm going to be serging around the cuff, and I will be serging in the round for that. And I'll set my camera up so you can kind of see what I'm doing, and making sure that that pleat is serged into place. Does anyone else out there get annoyed with serger tails? And what do you do with them? If anybody has a better idea or how you take care of them, please let me know. Because this is one of my things, but you can't just cut them off, kind of unravel, and it just doesn't work. And so what I do, and it seems to be the easiest way, I take a cross stitch needle, which is blunt with a big eye. And on the wrong side, before I thread it through, I get my needle going and I get underneath several stitches. I'm going to say 8 or 9. And then I go ahead and I work this, trim this first. And honestly, you just probably have to just give it some spit, because I don't know an easier way of doing this. Get it through that needle and then pull it through. Clip it, and then I take my fray check. And I just run some fray check along that thread just to kind of keep it so it stays underneath. So I'm going to go, I have several of these tails to take care of. When I'm done with the tails, what I'm going to be doing is folding my lapels back. And then I'm going to be stitching them in place. I'm working on the closure now, and also the little embellishment that's on the sleeve. I may have forgotten to show you that one in the beginning, but I'll show it to you as I go here. Just cutting off this fabric that's the bottom of the sleeve. I'm going to be using this for part of the closure and also for that little embellishment. I'm using my Sizzix Big Shot, and I use this die all the time. It's a Sizzix flower layer, and there's actually 4 different little layers on this. I'm using 2 of this and 2 of this. So folding my fabric, so I have a double layer here, and laying it on top of my die so that it's covered. I just ordered new plates. You think I need them? I'm using my 505 temporary fabric adhesive spray to adhere these. This is just an old box lid that I put some wax paper in. I'm laying these, I want the fuzzy side up, the inside up for these, so that's going to be the front side of the little embellishments. So I'm laying it so that the back side is up here, and just giving these a quick little spray. The tab that goes on the closure, I create by using the neckband. I'm going to be serging and just edge finishing this side of this little neckband. I need approximately 6 inches of this. So I'm going to cut that piece off. To make this into a tab, what I'm going to do, see this little loopy thing? I'm going to be taking it to my regular sewing machine, and you can either use like a zigzag. I think I'm going to be using my feather stitch, and I'm just going to be stitching across the top of this. So it creates this little triangle point and creates this little tab. There's my tab. I'm just going to stick that tab underneath one of these little embellishments, little appliques. And line the other one up on this side. This one needs to go up just a little bit. And then on the cuff, I'm adding the little ones right on that pleat. I will be taking this to my sewing machine and attaching the embellishments with a free motion applique, and also the little ones on the cuffs. And then all that's left is the buttons. So those will go on. And that completes this little jacket. I hope you enjoyed this. It took a little bit more time just to get those pockets in, but it's so worth it. They're just really makes it a nice jacket. So have a great day. I hope you have a chance to create. Bye.